Afternoon, Slashaholics, and welcome back to the Critics Corner, the Slash Trax Reviews movie show review, whatever it's called. We're back.
Slash Trax reviews. There we go.
Yeah, it's been a while. Ninja Turtles was the last time. We go Ninja Goad so hard that I got dizzy and I forgot what the show was called.
He's as empty as that Jack guy behind me there. He got a chicken in his head.
Chicken. Chickens aren't allowed at Slash Trax Reviews.
Oh my God, there's a video on the internet of this guy that drove like 30 miles to go pick up like a big order of chicken at a KFC. And he got there too late and they were closing up and they're like, sorry, we don't have it. And like, if I can find the clip, I'll put it right here because it's so much like when they talk about the chicken in this movie, because it's like chicken, like the guy is like screaming at them, I want my chicken. Like he's screaming that he wants his chicken.
Yeah. Did he get it?
At the KFC. It's so funny because it's just like how they talk about chicken in this movie.
Chicken.
But yeah, I'm gonna give myself a note right here if I can find that clip. So
order of food. Give me the chicken, or I'm gonna cause a scene. Get your owner here.
Cause a scene. You're recording.
You're gonna lose money and get fired. We ordered food, and you wanna refuse it.
Look at you. You're telling me you're not being rude?
You give me my chicken. I came 30 miles to get a chicken.
Come on, bro. You a wild.
You're getting fired. Give me my chicken. I drove 30 miles to get my chicken!
All right, Josh, this movie was directed by a man named Walter Murch, and this is actually the only film he's ever directed that he actually directed, but he's been associated with and worked on some major films, and some of the movies he's worked on was THX 1138, Apocalypse Now, The Godfather 1, 2, and 3, American Graffiti, which is a movie I really enjoy, Ghost, and The English Patient.
okay.
So yeah, he's worked with George Lucas. He's worked with like some of the biggest directors out there. He's worked for him. So you think he would have some chops.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola, absolutely. Those guys actually, a couple of those directors actually come into play for a fun fact later on.
Okay.
And we'll get into that in a little bit. Cast. Fairuza Balk is Dorothy Gale.
First movie, right?
This is her first movie ever, and everybody that follows the Slash Trax network probably is familiar with her role as Nancy in The Craft.
Yeah.
That's maybe her most famous and iconic role. She's in American History X. She's in The Waterboy. She's the one who is dating Bobby Boucher. Because girls are the devil, Bobby. Almost Famous, and The Island of Dr. Moreau.
I'm a golden god.
She's been in a lot of like genre movies, but she's also been in comedies. She's been in a lot of stuff. She has a very wide list of credits. Nicole Williamson plays Dr. J.B. Worley, and he's also the Gnome King. So he's doing double duty for this film. And he was in The Exorcist 3.
Wait, who was he besides the Gnome King?
He was the doctor who was going to give her shock
Yeah.
therapy.
The nurse is the
Mumby.
Yeah, it's like
Mumby.
it so makes me feel like doesn't really happen, that it's all in her head. But go ahead.
Well, we don't know. Maybe
Same with the first movie. The Tin Man, the Lion, the Scarecrow, and everybody was.
They all worked for her farm.
And there's a funny SNL sketch where like Will Ferrell plays a dwarf at the end of it's like the end of the movie of Wizard of Oz, and she's like, you were there, and then all of a sudden her mom's like, oh, Dr. So-and-so's here, and here comes Will Ferrell like walking on his knees, like he's a dwarf, and he's like, what about me? Was I in your dream? And she's all like, no. He's like, what? Are you sure? She was like, okay, you were there. Was I an important character that, had a big part like everybody else? And she's like, you were a little munchkin people that that dance. He goes, "Ooh, that makes me so mad," and he starts like dancing like the Munchkin. Gotta look that up, man. It's hilarious.
And then later on, he got inspiration to be in Elf, the movie Elf. Yeah, Nicole Williamson. So he's the Gnome King. He's the doctor who's going to give electroshock therapy to Dorothy. He was also in Spawn, 1997 Spawn, and he was in The Goodbye Girl, and Excalibur. So kind of a lot of different films throughout a lot of decades. Jean Marsh, she's Nurse Wilson, and she's Queen Mombi. And she also has a lot of credits that span a lot of time. She's in Willow. I actually recognized her in Willow when I watched it about a couple weeks ago. I was like, whoop, Mombi, right there. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio, where he's like, there she is. There's Mombi. She was in The Changeling, and she was
Leonardo
also
DiCaprio's in Willow.
no, no. I
I'm
was
about to say
saying
you're talking about Batman.
it's like a meme, like when Leonardo DiCaprio like
Oh,
it's a
that I got you. I thought you were talking about oh my God, he just passed away. Why can't I think of his name?
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, whenever he was in the cage and he's like throwing. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I think Mombi had him in the cage, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember. Don't quote us, slashaholics. I'm not as familiar with Willow as I am Return to Oz. She was also in Cleopatra, which was I think was Elizabeth Taylor's like Oscar-winning performance. And I think back then they just gave Oscars to people because it's like you are so incredibly beautiful. We're gonna just give you an Oscar.
Yeah, that's
I don't.
that's the prerequisite right there.
I don't know. Piper Laurie plays Aunt Em. And Josh, do you recognize Aunt Em at all? Is there a film that like? There's a couple films you'll definitely be like, oh dang, definitely seen her.
You know, offhand, I didn't have that moment.
Okay, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna facilitate some memories being sparked for you.
All right.
She was Carrie White's mom in Carrie.
Oh, okay. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's
she's
been
the
a
one who
while.
says dirty pillows, and she's like she actually was nominated for an Academy Award for her role in Carrie.
Okay.
Nuts in that movie. She's in Dream a Little Dream with the two legendary actors from the 80s, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. She's in The Faculty. Do you remember the movie The Faculty?
Yeah, it's one of those movies that was like when Scream came out and
Yeah,
Know
yeah.
What You
I
Did
know
Last
what you did
Summer.
last summer.
I
Yeah.
watched it. I watched it like once, rented it from Blockbuster,
Yep.
you know, five for $5
Yep.
for 5 days. Yeah.
She was in The Hustler and she was in Children of a Lesser God. So this lady, Piper Laurie, is the real deal. And I know that she has this like great pedigree and she has done all these amazing things. Her role in Return to Oz is like not much. She's on screen for like maybe a total of like 5 minutes. She's pulling the
Straight in the
Jason
mirror, Dorothy. Straight in the mirror.
Yeah, she's pulling a Jason Voorhees mom, in the first Friday the 13th. Like she's in the film for about 7 minutes
She,
total.
she gets one of the last lines in the movie from her is "Go touch grass, Dorothy." Like not those words, but that's pretty much what she says. Like,
Oh
get
my
out of here.
God.
Go touch grass.
I thought of you this morning when I was watching this movie, in preparation for the review, and the scene where she's looking in the mirror, spoiler alert, and she's like saying goodbye to Ozma and her friends, you know, Belina the chicken and stuff. I thought of you because I was thinking about how we're gonna review the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan match
Oh
in
yeah.
WCW. I just thought it would. I had this image in my head. I was like, Josh and I have to somehow take this image and put the Ultimate Warrior in the mirror with him. I just thought that would be so funny.
Goodbye, warrior. I didn't know it would go by so fast. When he showed up, I thought it would last forever, but he was gone within 2 months.
The chicken, Belina's just housing a Warrior Fuel over in Oz.
Are you not going back with us? Hell no. I'm staying here. If I go back there, I'm going to get chicken nuggets. Like,
Yeah,
of course,
I
the
could talk.
chicken's not going home.
Yeah, I could talk here.
The
Everybody
dark,
likes
the
it.
dark thing is, it's probably because the chicken drowned, and Dorothy knew the chicken drowned, so she
Yeah.
was like in her head subconsciously, the chicken stayed in Oz.
Oh, why don't you just ruin the film for all the slasher hogs? Uh, Pons Mar. Now, Pons Mar, he plays like the head wheeler in this movie, okay?
Yeah.
And he was also in The Golden Child. He was in Masters of the Universe. Eh? He's one of the bad guys. He was a puppeteer for the movie Theodore Rex. So do you remember that Whoopi Goldberg movie?
Yes, yes.
Okay, he was the guy in the suit, the
Okay.
dinosaur suit. He was in the Blob,
As a kid, I
but
thought that was Sinclair. I thought it was like Sinclair from Dinosaurs, the TV show.
it looks just here's kind of like a fun little trivia fact
I thought they
about
were
the movie.
connected. I really thought the show and that movie were connected as a kid. But go ahead.
I don't I totally can see why you would think that. The movie Theodore Rex, starring Whoopi Goldberg, it's it holds the record. And I don't know if it has the record to this day, but at the time, the budget was $33.5 million for this film, so it was supposed to be released to theaters. And the people who made the film were like Whoopi Goldberg, Jumpin' Jack Flash, the lady from Ghost, the psychic, with a dinosaur and a buddy cop movie. I don't know why we greenlit this. This is horrible. This is a terrible
I
movie.
like it, but go ahead.
They sent it straight to video, so it had the record for the highest budget for a straight to video movie.
Oh, okay.
And Whoopi Goldberg, to this day, if you bring it up to her or ask her about it, she's like, "I don't know what I was thinking. It was like it is the worst movie I've ever made."
It's a fun
Uh,
movie.
in retrospect, that's a perfect film for us to riff on this channel.
Yeah, yeah.
I really think so. I think that could be in our future. Brian Henson, son of Jim Henson, great Muppet creator. Brian Henson plays Jack Pumpkinhead, and he does the voice and he controls the hands, and the head. So he's puppeteering the head and the hands and doing the voice.
Okay.
And he was also involved with Little Shop of Horrors,
Little
uh,
shop, little shop of horrors. I
mhm,
love musicals.
The Witches, which scared the living daylights out of me as a kid. Um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990, the movie we recently reviewed on the channel. And he was also involved in The Labyrinth. So many movies that Josh and I love, Brian Henson has been involved with. And fun fact about Jack Pumpkinhead, Tim Burton has recently admitted or has admitted that Jack Pumpkinhead was inspiration for Jack Skellington.
Cool. I can see that.
So, yeah, pulled it directly from that. What else do we got? Okay, you want to do some release stuff and some critic stuff?
Sure.
Okay. Movie was released June 21st, 1985 in the USA on a budget of $28 million. The film grossed $11.1 million.
It made its money back in midnight showings later on and VHS and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it made plenty of money.
It took time for it to recoup its money, but I'm sure it's been a profit. It's a major cult film.
Oh yeah.
But at the time it was labeled a bomb. The Rotten Tomatoes scores are really not that bad actually. 58% from critics and 71% from viewers.
Yeah.
So pretty solid. I mean, whenever I bring up Return to Oz to people in conversation, they either don't know about it, they didn't know it existed, or they say it scared them, and it
Yeah.
was not like the original 1939 film. Do you want to talk, Josh? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? The connection between the first film and this one?
Yeah, I mean, literally the only true connection is the ruby slippers because in the original book it's silver slippers. They actually
Yeah.
paid to use the ruby slippers. That's the only thing they really paid to use from the first movie because this is not a sequel to The Wizard of Oz. Well, in a sense it is because it's a sequel to the book, The
Mhm.
Wizard of Oz. This has no ties whatsoever to the 1935 movie The Wizard of Oz. No ties except they paid for the rights to use the ruby slippers just because it was something that was recognizable. But
Mhm.
even as you watch the movie and if you listen to the dialogue and look at the way like the Tin Man, the Lion, the Scarecrow look, you'll know it's not connected. She even tells a story from the first book about how the Tin Man cut off his own leg one day and made a tin leg. So the witch like put a spell on his axe and he ended up like chopping off every rest of his part of his body
Yeah.
and making his whole body a Tin Man. That definitely was not something that was covered in the first in the movie in 1935. But yeah, my whole childhood, I thought this was part two to the Wizard of Oz, and really because so many people think that it
Hmm.
kind of became the sequel to it. But technically on a developmental level, this movie has no connection to the production of Wizard of Oz. It is not a sequel to the movie, just a sequel to the book. Fun fact. Um, but yeah, did I blow your mind?
Mic drop, mic drop. Okay, so our boys Siskel and Ebert, we're real big fans of them here at Slash Facts Reviews. Gave it two thumbs down,
Oh my
two
god.
big thumbs down. They considered it one of the worst movies of the summer of 1985. They said it was too grim and downbeat and not suitable for younger children, mostly because of the scary elements.
It was pretty scary. Like as an adult, I have if you're new to the channel, weird thing about me is for some reason I can't, when I watch Gumby, if I try I can't even watch it when I try to. Something about that animation, the claymation they use for that and the stop motion, it's like almost makes it gives me like this really uncomfortable, uneasy feeling, almost like I'm watching something demonic. And I don't I'm like an atheist, but it feels demonic to me.
Yeah.
And and same
Hey,
thing.
Poppy.
Stop it. The voice, it's the voices and the way they move. And like I tried watching the Gumby movie like a couple years
Uh,
ago with my wife to see if maybe if I watched it with her, it'd be different. I made it like 45 seconds in and I was just, oh, I can't. Same goes with I can watch most of the Garbage Pail Kids movie, but something about it throws me off too at parts.
yeah, me too. It's probably the acting, the script, and the writing.
No, I get that Gumby feeling, but yeah, that's funny. It's pretty bad. Um, but
That throws me.
also, but also the Gnome King animation in this towards the end is very much like the Gumby stuff, and I can't watch it. Like so when I did the rewatch of this, I had just had to listen to those parts when he's like picking up Jack and trying to eat him and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I just can't the way it moves.
And you had to hold Beth's hand. Every light in the slasher librarian's library was on. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to watch this movie all the way through. I get to that part, and I'm like,
So this movie, here's a couple fun facts and some production notes. Like Josh and I said, major cult following, very big. Fans of the Oz books, like Josh said, fans of the original Wizard of Oz books by L. Frank Baum, all the fans consider it to be a more faithful work than the 1939 film.
39. I said 35 earlier. Sorry, 39. That was a slip up on
So
my part, but yeah,
that's okay. Dude, we're not perfect, man. But for sure, what you were saying is correct. It is more closely associated with the books, and it is a more faithful adaptation
yeah,
than The Wizard of Oz. Because the 1939 movie was definitely a film of its time. It was Hollywood and over the top, and everything was. It almost looked like a giant screen, like a play. Like The Wizard of Oz almost looked like a giant play. The backgrounds, everything, very toned down. I feel like if they made that movie nowadays, it would be scarier. I feel like The Wicked Witch of the West would be terrifying. I feel like flying monkeys are terrifying.
well, they did the
Um,
Wicked, like the prequel, and
yeah,
they did the one with James Franco a few years back.
I do
Uh,
remember with like the Great and Powerful Oz, I think was the name of that.
you know what my favorite Wizard of Oz movies are? Muppet Wizard of Oz, and see if you can guess this one. Get on down, get on down,
The
get on
Wiz,
down the road. Yeah, I love
Wiz.
the Wiz. I love the Wiz.
Okay, here we go. This movie was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Didn't win, but was nominated. So the Gnome King that terrified Josh was actually helped it get nominated for an Academy Award. Um, the film was developed and produced without MGM Studios. MGM Studios was behind the 1939 classic film. No approval needed, though, Josh, because by this point in 1985, it was public domain.
Yep, yep.
And like Josh said earlier, they did have to pay a fee to MGM for the Ruby Red Slippers.
Yes, because the book was public domain. The
Correct.
movie wasn't, but the book was.
But it wasn't even a sequel to the movie, really, though. We've kind of established that.
Well, yeah, no, they had to use the ruby slipper part. That's why they had to pay because the movie from '39 was not public domain, but the book was.
Okay.
The book had silver slippers, so if they had just
They
gone with
changed.
silver slippers, they wouldn't have had to pay anything to MGM. But they did that to use the ruby slipper thing. So
Well, the ruby red slippers in Return to Oz's defense is like this is kind of the MacGuffin of the film. It's
yeah,
like the Gnome King uses them to like take over, Oz and gain power. So, um, I wonder if a certain president that's in office right now got a hold of the ruby red slippers.
oh
Hmm.
my god, oh my
Is he
god,
wearing ruby red slippers underneath the
he
desk?
might he might be.
Hmm. Interesting. Uh, Fruza
Oz,
Balk.
Oz, 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 Oz. Oz is the great and they say he's the most great and powerful like nobody's ever seen before. It's really it's what they say. Can you believe it? He's the great and powerful Oz. All right, sorry, go ahead.
You can come into my office and touch any of these items you want to.
He
And
wastes
if
it. He wastes it on Diet Coke like orders though. There's his button. Oz Diet Coke. There it is.
Oz, bucket of fried chicken, you can go in there to his office or the White House and touch items. And if you say blue state, hopefully one of your representatives shows back up.
Like there's a bunch of ornaments in there of all the people that like critique him at all. Like or tell him no.
Anybody that opposes his opinion gets turned into
Nasty people. Nasty. It's so nasty if you don't agree.
Elon Musk might be turned into a ornament pretty soon. He just left.
Yeah,
Fruza Balk was the second youngest to audition for Dorothy Gale out of 1,000 kids, and I think she auditioned originally in
wow.
Canada. Was passed on through to the next round, and she was the one ultimately chosen. And she was not only was she the second youngest one, but the odds to be chosen out of 1,000 auditions.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to get an interview on Indeed.com for a job cleaning toilets. Um, this is very impressive. This
That
is
is.
amazing. Yeah, it was supposed to happen. The movie was filmed entirely in the United Kingdom, which I don't think they originally wanted to do that. I think they had a lot of different locations, but it all came down to budget. So, that was kind of like a Jason Takes Manhattan situation. No Dorothy Gale boxing Jason at Madison Square Garden this time. So, yeah, swing and a miss. Um, the director, here we go. Murch was fired 5 weeks into shooting this film, Josh.
Wow.
The studio thought his style of directing was like far too slow, and then when he showed them dailies and footage that he had filmed, they were not stoked on it. They weren't very happy with it. So what happened was George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, who he had worked with in the past and who he was friends with, went to the studio and they're basically like, "Hey, we need you to hire him back because he knows what he's doing. He can do this job. We're
Yeah.
speaking up for him. If he's not able to get the shots that you guys want and he falls behind on any other area, George Lucas said, "I'll finish shooting the movie for him. Like I'll
Oh
do it for
wow.
you guys."
Wow. Okay.
That they never needed to do that though because Murch got in line and everything went smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, I can tell because it only made 11 million at the box office, but
He
they
got
they
the
went to
movie.
bat for him, and then he lost the studio money. They're like, okay, well, screw Murch, screw Lucas, screw Coppola. We're never vouching for you again, Murch.
You know
Ah,
what? This is very similar to what you've done to me, by the way. I wanted to fire Jumpin' Jeff and Tony and Motley Cruz and all these other idiots that you hire. I wanted to fire them. And then you came up and you said, "Alex, we've been friends for a long time. And I personally vouch for Motley Cruz
I
and
fired Motley
Tony,
Cruz. You mean Richie Rouge?
Richie Rouge,
Yeah, yeah. One of these
the other
days,
one
he's
of
gonna
your,
squish an apple. Okay,
yeah. He better not. Hey, if Richie Ruse, is that his name?
Richie
If he
Rouge.
went if he went
Yeah.
to Oz, would he be able to squish a lunch pail, an apple lunch pail from the lunch pail tree? Hmm. Just important questions. Listen to this one. Fruza Balk was in 98% of the scenes in this movie, so she's like in every shot basically. She was only allowed to work 3.5 hours a day because of her age.
Oh no.
That makes it hard to shoot a film. I can't imagine the budget was helped from that.
There's probably a lot of stand-ins for her, I bet.
Oh, had to be. 3.5. I've heard of people working on, like when Tom Cruise talks about filming movies and stuff, he's always like, yeah, we're on set like 15 hours a day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
3.5 hours, that's basically like she's out there delivering Uber Eats for like a few hours after her main job. Like, that's
Jeez.
very part-time.
Jeez.
And also, here's one more fun fact before we start talking about the plot. This is the first film to use the new Walt Disney's Pictures logo that ran from 1985 to 2006.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Kind of neat. It's a logo that it's like burned in my memory. That Walt Disney, that is like the one.
Like from all of our VHSs and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so this is the part of the show, Slashaholics. We're going to talk about the first time we saw this film and kind of initial memories of it, and what was like what really stood out for you, Josh? Like when you first saw this movie, what was the thing that was like burned into your librarian head?
The Wheelers. Because I saw it when I was like 4 on TV, or we rented it. I think we rented a VCR and rented it. The Wheelers, we got to the Wheelers, they scared the crap out of me because my 4 or 5 year old self wasn't thinking, wait, they can't get her. They don't even have hands. But anyways, the Wheelers scared me too much and I quit watching. So that was my first impression. When I finally did watch the movie at like 11 years old, 12 years old, watched it all the way through, I liked it a lot more. I was into Power Rangers and stuff at the time. So this was
Kind of similar, kind of Rita Repulsa, Queen Mombi.
yeah. So I really dug it then. But when I got to the Gnome King, if I had seen that as a little kid, I probably would have like but when I got to the Gnome King part, again, it freaked me out so much I just kind of turned my head until that part was over.
If
But
it was the Power Rangers, uh, they're fighting, and then like Billy Cranston accidentally falls into the deadly desert. It turns into
haven't they
sand.
been to the Deadly Desert? Like they've gone to the Deadly Desert, the Forbidden Planet, the Dead
Probably.
Planet, the Lost Planet. They've been to all those places.
Planet of secret power.
Yeah.
I think my first impressions of seeing this movie, the Wheelers scared the living H out of me. Queen Mombi with all of her heads.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah.
My mind as a kid, and I even had this thought as an adult when I was rewatching this movie. It was like, are these heads? Because the heads are basically working for Queen Mombi now at this point. So, but do they have their own thoughts from when they were their own person, or are they just Are they just attached to Mombi?
Probably just all her subconscious and stuff now. Oh, and
Yeah,
they all start screaming and stuff. Oh my god.
exactly. I think you're right. I thought it was funny when Jack Pumpkinhead was talking to Dorothy when they're locked up in the attic, and he's like, "Yeah, Queen Mombi was wearing this one head when she locked me up here, and then she took it off for the night, and she must have forgot I'm up here because she hasn't put that head back on yet."
Well, that's a good point. Maybe they each have her, like she has memories from when she wears those, but it's different per
But
brain.
it's still her essence or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Different
maybe.
memories and stuff. Yeah, so I would say that. I would say the heads, Deadly Desert, and I really like the lunch pail tree. I wanted a lunch pail tree in my yard so GD bad. Like bad, bad.
Oh, your parents should have like put a few like bagged lunches up on string or something from the tree.
I would. She's talking to
Gotcha.
Belina. What's in your lunch pail tree? It's a ham sandwich. Wonder if the ham was still good. I thought it'd be funny if there was like a chicken leg in the lunch pail and then Belina could have made a comment.
Yeah, yeah.
That would have been funny. Let's briefly talk about the plot.
Okay.
And we're not going to go, listen, Slashaholics, we have fine-tuned this. We're not going over every beat.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the plot, and I'm going to start, and then Josh will kind of pick it up in a few parts, and then we're going to get into like favorite characters, least favorite characters, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So the plot is Dorothy Gale came back from her first trip to Oz. she's having a really hard time sleeping because she's so like overstimulated and just wants to go back to Oz. She had a good time. Her aunt and uncle are extremely worried about her because she's so distracted. She's not doing her chores. She's not really playing outside. She's having a really hard time, and they're trying to rebuild their house because it was destroyed in the tornado,
In the
right?
damn tornado, yeah.
Yeah, so they have half. They literally have half their house, and I think her uncle is like disabled now from the tornado.
Yeah, I think so.
He's hurt, or maybe from something else, but he's not really helpful. Um, so anyway, they organize something to bring her to a place where she can get electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
And it's a scary place. You know, this is like 1899, and electricity probably like recently got invented or maybe went into mainstream use. But they're basically it's been proven that it's like quack, medical
Yeah.
stuff now. So she's Queen Mumby is it's not Mombi. It's the nurse at this point, and
Yeah.
it's not the Gnome King, it's the doctor.
Yep.
But the power goes out when she's strapped to a like a bed. They're going to give her the electroshock therapy. Uh Ozma, I guess. We
Ozma.
don't know she's Ozma, but it's another girl, right?
Yeah, I think Ozma gets mentioned in the first book. So
Hmm.
if you read the first book and then watch this, you would understand. But yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, who is that? I forgot all about Ozma. But yeah.
Ozma of Oz. She's like the OG big fairy godmother-esque character. She helps Dorothy escape, and they go out into this like huge like rainstorm, and they end up in a river trying to escape from the nurse, and they get swept away. Dorothy wakes up. She gets separated from Ozma, and Dorothy wakes up with Bellina in Oz. So she's back in Oz, right?
Yeah, and she figures
And
that out because Belina starts talking to her.
yeah, Bellina's talking. She's either dying of hypothermia and hallucinating, or she's in Oz. So they float up to the Deadly Desert, and she knows it's a deadly desert. I don't know how the viewers know because this was never addressed in the previous film,
Yeah,
right?
because I
Unless you
mean,
read the book.
at this point, viewers probably thought this was a sequel. But yeah, you if you didn't read the first book, you're like,
Huh?
all of this was in the first book. The stuff like the first like when she first went to Oz, she found out about the desert, all of that. It was just not put in the first movie. So
Yeah, you're just like, okay. So she's doing the childhood game where it's like you step on a crack, break your mom's back, but this is for real slashaholics. This part makes me nervous as Josh gets when the Gnome King is on screen. She's like, okay, as long as we stay on these rocks, we won't turn into sand and die. She just immediately like just starts hopping on the rocks, like doesn't
Tremors.
no thought, yeah, no thought, no plan ahead, just starts doing it. So she's got guts. This girl's got moxie.
Yeah.
So they get up, they go to the lunch pail tree, they have a little set. They take one for lunch that day, they take one for later. They go to the center of the town. And Josh, what's going on in the center of the town in Oz?
Beware the Wheelers.
The Wheelers. The Wheelers have taken over. Don't go into the center of town. It's no good. You don't want to go there. Dorothy and Bellina find out that everybody has been turned to stone, and even some of them, even worse, don't have their heads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she remember, don't forget she had that key in the real world.
She found a key from the storm at her farm
Yeah.
that
Yep.
said Oz,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So she's kind of still toting this around. She might have it in one of her lunch pails. Um, but the Wheelers show up
Yep.
and they scare the living crap out of her and they back her and Bellina into a corner. And
Yep.
it's like a video game, Josh. She just happens to have picked up this key, and it's the one key that'll open the door to
Behind
safety,
it. Yep. Yep.
right?
And that's where the entire army of Oz is waiting.
The one member of the Army of Oz is one guy. Can you imagine being so badass that you're the entire army?
Yeah, he's the army of Oz. Yep. Yep. The army of one right there for reals.
Ozma better made sure his ass was wound tight. His action, his thinking, his thoughts, all that. So TikTok, we meet TikTok. He is like a metal, like short, stout, old timey kind of badass. And he grabs one of the lunch pails, one of the lunch pails Dorothy was toting around, and he single handedly takes on every Wheeler by himself.
He's got to
Um,
stop and do like really annoying little short videos every time they go somewhere though. TikTok. Sorry.
yeah, he's trying to get his social media influence even larger. Whenever kids would be like, "Oh, you don't know what TikTok is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." He's the Army of Oz.
Yeah, here's a callback. Here's a
What
callback.
TikTok?
Is his thinking wound up right now? No. Take him to the polls. Get him to vote. Sorry.
Oz. So when they vote, hey, when they vote, Oz. So anyway, so they
It's
TikTok
green. It's green. Here's a green one.
TikTok takes care of business, and they end up going into Queen Mombi's palace, which is like right there, right? It's right there
Well, it seems
downtown.
that it is because I thought the same thing. Because she's like, where's Queen Mombi? Take or Princess Mombi or whatever. Take me to her. And no. And then TikTok makes him. And it's like we get like that cut where it's like spin and they're at the front gate. So I don't know if
Yeah.
it was real close or like if we just didn't see the trek to it, but it was a really weird cut now that you mention it.
Well, since Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson, was on set, they probably just Muppet map traveled to Queen
Yep.
Mombi's
Yep.
palace.
Deleted scene somewhere.
You remember on the Muppets when they would like travel and there'd just be like a map and they'd be like
We got to use
going
that
around.
on Slash Tracks sometime in the future.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So they go into Queen Mombi's palace. Mombi's has all these different heads that she's stolen from the statues outside. Um, she is, I guess, that's her form of beauty. That's her thing, not makeup, but heads.
Yeah.
And she is none too pleased with Dorothy Gale showing up and her army.
Yep.
And TikTok freezes up. He's been filming too many shorts, too many reels. He freezes up. His action is out of action. Can't help Dorothy. Queen Mombi locks her in the attic, and she's screwed. This is a
Yep.
bad deal.
Yep.
But she just happens to meet Jack Pumpkinhead, right?
Mhm.
And she meets the Gump,
They
but the
create the
Gump is
Gump. They create Forrest
they,
Gump.
they
Yep.
create the Gump by stealing Queen Mombi's powder of life, which
Yep.
brings the Gump to life, which is the like moose behind Josh's head right there. They bring the couch to life. And what else do they have? Jack, TikTok, Gump, Belina, and her. That's it, right?
That's it right at this point.
Okay, so that's what they've got. And eventually, Queen Mombi finds out. She's upset that Dorothy is using her powder of life and is breaking out. So they break out. Okay, they
Oh,
take.
it,
Go
there
ahead.
is there is a pretty cool scene where she's stealing the powder,
Hmm.
and it's like with Mombi's main head, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and she like opens her eyes and everything, and screams. That was pretty creepy. Um, as they're like putting the Gump together, while Dorothy's going after the powder of life, which is just Comet. It's just a can of Comet. Um, Comet. It makes your mouth turn green. Comet. It tastes like gas. Did you ever hear that song as a kid?
Yeah, and it also reminded me of a Parmesan cheese thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
And then, hey, Gump and Jack are like, "Say when, Dorothy."
TikTok is giving them directions on how to put the Gump thing together, and his brain thing is wound down all the way. So he's all like, and now Jack ties his legs together, and it's pretty funny. Like he starts giving out and Jack's like, oh, of course, I tie my legs together, and he like ends up falling over and stuff. He's giving all these really weird directions. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
That is funny. And the other part, when Mombi wakes up and her head is like on the nightstand over there, does she wake up every morning to her own head screaming at her body to wake up?
Get up!
Get up, you lazy son of a Dorothy Gale. Um, yeah, so anyway, Mombi, they make their escape. They turn the Gump couch into like a flying couch.
Yep.
They make their escape. They hit some heavy wind and turbulence though. But this is Dorothy just fell asleep, and then we get into the turbulence, like the very next scene.
Well,
Everybody's
apparently she slept. She did finally sleep for a while because the whole thing is she hasn't been sleeping. So in Oz, she was able to sleep, and they flew right over the desert of despair because the Wheelers were right below them.
Hmm.
And one of the Wheelers goes out into the desert by accident and turns into stone, which is a cool scene.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Great
they
scene.
fly right over that. But you're right. The next morning, she wakes up to turbulence.
Yeah, so they're like all hell's breaking loose. TikTok must not have had his thought completely wound up even after they wound it up because the ropes start coming apart. The Gump flying couch is coming apart, and it eventually breaks apart after they try to save Jack's head because Jack's head falls off.
Yeah,
So
really slow and then floats somehow.
yeah, so they're like, they go down that like the Gump only makes like straight, goes straight or maybe makes a slight left or right. So he's got to go down. He's maneuvering like a Top Gun pilot here.
I'm not made to turn. By the way, they're all dead because they fall from like the upper, like above the clouds. They fall onto a mountain. I don't care if they land on a couch. They're dead.
Yeah, Dorothy landed right on her keister.
Yeah, like her tailbone just went through her. The last thing that went through her mind was her tailbone. Um, but
Sub-Zero
the
fatality.
chicken just turned into chicken liver, puddle, chicken noodle soup. They're dead, but no, they all survive like a cartoon. Um,
Um, Fun fact here, guys. You got a little kind of Easter egg. You better be paying attention. Belina the chicken is now in Jack's head,
yeah,
right?
if you don't pay attention, you don't know it. But yeah,
Yeah, so Belina the chicken they think she's gone. No, she's in Jack's eye holes. She's just hanging out.
yeah.
And another funny thing we skipped over that I want to talk about real quick, when Dorothy meets Jack and he's like, "Oh, are you my mom?
All, yeah,
can you check my head for spoilage?
all, yeah,
Because I don't." This is kind of like a body horror movie, right?
yeah, kind of, yeah.
He's got a pumpkin head. He's alive. Pumpkins don't last that long. He could have his own spin-off movie, kind of like the Demi Moore movie that just came out. What was that called?
Oh, I can't
The
remember.
the Demi Moore movie where she takes this injections and then she turns into a monster. That could be the sequel. Jack Pumpkinhead just turning into,
He's
decomposing.
Pumpkinhead from the Pumpkinhead movies, and that's why he doesn't look like a pumpkin, and he looks like a monster, is because he just spoiled all the way.
Yeah, he's spoiling. He's
Yep,
spoiling.
yep.
I wonder where the innards of the pumpkin are after he was animated. Are those just like somewhere suffering in a garbage can somewhere? Anyway, so now we're conveniently still alive, and now we're at Gnome King Mountain. Okay. And the Gnome King, Josh didn't see this part, so I'll talk here. The Gnome King sends his like guards or minions through the mountain to see what's going on because there's noise about. And they see that Dorothy Gale and her army have arrived to the Gnome King's door.
Yeah.
They want to make sure there's not a chicken there. Don't see a chicken. They let everybody in. Dorothy Gale has a meeting with the Gnome King. He offers her a
It's
glass of
not
pipe.
fair. Oh, sorry.
He offers her a glass of piping hot silver to drink. Silver. Wouldn't that kill her?
Yeah, yeah, she's dead again. She's
Yeah,
dead.
I think there was that guy who turned blue. Do you ever see that guy who looked like a Smurf?
Oh yeah, yeah,
He drank silver, didn't he? Wasn't that the deal?
something like that. Yeah, yep,
He
yep.
must have saw the Gnome King one day or something. So anyway, Gnome King, Dorothy Gale basically says that her and her army are gonna make the Gnome King give Oz back and turn everyone back to normal and make everything right again.
Well, he does kind of have a point that he made all the stones and everything. So the Emerald City stole his stuff. He just took it back, just like she's wanting to take back the shoes and stuff. So
Hmm.
he does have some good points there. I did listen. I just didn't watch whenever it was doing that weird, like when he's sitting there talking to her and is moving and stuff. The part that got me the most was whenever he's giant and like eating the couch and trying to eat Jack, and then like whenever he's like, "Did you not know that was poison?" As if, bitch, I don't care. You're like trying to eat my friends. I'm glad it's poison. Why are you saying it like I should feel bad that I just killed you? Like you were gonna eat Jack a second ago. Like
Jack's my bestie. How dare
how
you do
could
that?
you? It's poison. Anyways, I got a little ahead of us,
So
but yeah.
basically, the Gnome King's like, "Oh, your army, TikTok. This is who's gonna stop me." Yeah. So they decide after drinking their piping hot silver that they're going to play a little game, and Dorothy and her friends are all going to go into his like toy room, his like antique room.
Yeah.
They get three guesses. They say Oz. If they guess wrong, nothing happens. They just lose a turn. And if they run out of turns, they also turn into an ornament.
Yep.
Um, One by one, they start getting picked off. Gnome King is like super close to becoming a human. He's turning from rock into a human,
Yep.
which is what he wants.
Yep.
And he's also telling Dorothy, like, hey, you don't have to go in there. Like, I can send you back because guess what? I have your ruby red slippers.
Your silver slippers. But
Exactly.
ruby red. Yep. Yep.
And he kind of reveals his ruby red slippers, which is exactly what our president revealed to all the people in his cabinet. Which is what he revealed to Elon Musk before. No, I'm kidding. Before he resigned. So anyway, Dorothy says, no, I'd rather just take my chances. And she goes in there. But wait, hold on, I just jumped over a part. The Royal Army of Oz has one guest left. Everybody else has turned into an ornament. And the Gnome King is like, hey, since you decided you're going to go in there and you're going to be stubborn, why don't you go in there, wind him up, let him guess, and then you can just stay and make your three guesses. Well, TikTok is very smart, Josh, right?
Yes. I needed wound up. I was trying to, my brain thing was wound down. But yes, very
You are
smart.
a dick. You are a dick. So yeah, anyway, TikTok. Wait, by the way, this plan doesn't really work because TikTok chooses, she doesn't see what he picked. She doesn't.
No,
And then she ultimately, on her last guess, gets lucky. So I don't know why they even included that part.
I don't
It
either.
didn't help.
Nope, nope, nope. But it made sense to go for the green ornaments.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. So she gets lucky on her last guess, and the scarecrow shows back up.
Oh, the
And
terrifying scarecrow. Ugh.
yeah, he's talking, his mouth isn't moving, he's just like dead eyes.
I'm
Uh,
Alex and I'm Josh and yeah.
Looks like Gumby. Um, does kind of. So then anyway, she's like, "What were you? What color were you?" And it's like, "Oh, you were green." So they just start picking green stuff and saying Oz. Everybody starts coming back. Gnome King is turning more and more into rock again. He is
Oh,
absolutely pissed.
Mombi showed up and,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
he's like, I enjoy playing games. This is more fun this way. And then whenever she starts winning, oh, I hate games. How did you let her go?
Exactly.
You're gonna
Scapegoat.
die now, and puts her in a cage. That was pretty bad writing there.
Scapegoat.
He was just so cocky and arrogant. He didn't care that she let her escape because he's having fun. But as soon as he starts like losing his power, you will die tomorrow. I'll make you an ornament, all your heads too, and your little heads too. But yeah, he gets mad. The whole thing starts coming down, the room they're in and stuff. And this is where I had to quit watching for real and just listen. And I kind of like did the thing like that every now and then and saw, what he was doing, like trying to, like when he ate the couch and it like that animation just, I just can't. You walk us through that.
So Gnome King is absolutely livid. He just put Queen Mommy in a cage. Now he's blaming everyone else but himself. And anyway, to make a long story short, he's like, well, we're not playing games anymore. I'm going to just start eating all of your friends. He starts with the couch. The Gump's head falls off, so he's saved by the bell, folks. He eats the couch. Now he goes for Jack Pumpkinhead. But guess what, Slashaholics and Slashketeers? Belina. Belina is in Jack's head. And guess what? We didn't talk about this. Dorothy was talking to Belina when they were in Kansas, and she was like, Auntie M says if you don't start laying eggs, she's going to make you for dinner.
Yep.
Belina couldn't have picked a better time to lay her first egg because she lays an egg. The egg comes rolling out like a grenade, like a thermal nuclear blast, a thermite grenade, rolls into the Gnome King's mouth, and the Gnome King is done.
Well, it's so nice of him that he slowly puts Jack back down. He should have like thrown him, but no, the dialogue I heard there, because I mean, I only did this like as soon as I saw him disintegrating, I was like, ah. The dialogue was funny though. He's like, "Did you not know? Know what? Eggs are poison." And I made the thing of looking again, and I see all the because he made all those creatures in the wall and stuff. Remember that we
Yeah.
kind of skated over that. Those are terrifying. That no, those creatures were really scary. Like I did that and put it back. Like even the scarecrow was like seeing him like you know what it reminded me of? Have you ever seen that Mark Twain claymation? Because it's just like Gumby. It's hard for
I
me.
haven't.
I've seen it once where it like this creature comes up and they're like, "Who are you?" And it's like, "I'm an angel." And they're like, "What's your name?" Satan. Have you ever
Lucifer.
have you ever seen that?
No.
Who are you? An angel.
What's your name?
Satan. I can do no wrong, for I do not know what it is.
You murdered him.
Never mind them. People are of no value. We could make more sometime, if we need them. Life itself is only a vision, a dream. Nothing exists save empty space and you. And you are but a thought.
I'll get you a link. I'm sure if
Wow.
anybody, viewers, if you've seen that and you've seen the scene we're talking about with the creatures coming up, do you agree it looks pretty similar? Because I had a hard time watching that. But no, just the way he's all like the dialogue I heard between him and Dorothy. Did you not know it was poison? Like, how could you do this to me, Dorothy? We're best
Good.
friends. You know,
Good.
we're best friends. How could you do this? Feel sorry for me.
As he was trying to kill her friends.
Exactly. It was weird.
Yeah. That's
Very
ridiculous.
weird energy from him. But he's dead.
So he's gone, and thank goodness he had just put the second biggest villain in a cage. So Mommy's in a cage. I don't know how they're gonna get her out because it was the Gnome King just caged her in, like caged her in. There's no key. Like,
Right?
and if
Yeah.
there was a key, who knows?
And they take her
So-
powers away too.
Take her powers away, and we cut to the end scene. Dorothy Gale is a hero. Ozma is there. She is like they reveal her as like the Queen of Oz. Like she is the leader of Oz.
Yeah, Dorothy pulls her out of a mirror, which is pretty cool. But yeah.
Cowardly Lion's back. Tin Woodsman's back. Everybody's back. Oz is in full effect.
The masochist Tin Woodsman is back. The guy that like cut his legs and arms and head and everything off
they're
for
all back.
funsies.
Yeah. Hey, Tin Woodman's back. Lion's back. Backstreet's back.
All right.
Everybody's back. Oz brothers and sisters, everybody sing. Ozma's in her cage
Thought they
still.
fought the Gnome King and won the day.
Excuse me, Ozma's not in the cage. Mombi's still in the cage though. Like she is still in the cage. So proving my theory, there is no key. She's stuck forever. They're just gonna have to slide her meals through the bar.
I think the reason they left her in the cage there is because when we get back to Kansas, we found out that they arrested the nurse. The doctor died in the flood, and they show her in the back of that cage with the bars. The nurse with the bars. I think that's why they left her in the cage in that scene, is so they could do the comparison of when they get to Kansas, she's behind bars.
Okay.
But what do I know? I'm just the 80s slasher librarian.
I'm just a local neighborhood bird lawyer. So anyway, the 80s slasher librarian and myself were stoked. Everything in Oz is back to normal. Ozma says you can stay here. Like you are absolutely welcome to stay here forever, Dorothy, or we can send you home and you can visit whenever you want in the future. Like whenever you want to come back to Oz, you can come back. So Dorothy takes the ladder and she goes back home to freaking boring Kansas.
I think that if she had stayed there, that meant she would die. Like I think she was on the brink of death right there, because I think this is all in her head. That's my take on it. It's my take because the way the doctor and the nurse and everything were Mombi and the Gnome King, and just like the first movie when it was a dream, I think that she was on the brink of death, and if she had stayed, that was death, and but she chose life. I think metaphorically that was like, do you want to keep on living your life, or do you want to die and spend eternity here in Oz? You know, like because they say in your last like seconds of death, like when you're dying, your brain could like give you like a dream that takes 1,000 years just in that last second before your brain shuts down. Like there's even theories that like heaven and hell is like eternity that you go through when you're dying in that last second before your brain shuts off completely, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a supercomputer. But no, the way that she says goodbye, 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 and wakes up and she's like still saying it, you know,
What about when she's looking in the mirror and she's already home though, and she's talking to Ozma?
I think that's just like delusions, and I think she's got like a mental disorder. But
Wow, this movie is darker than I thought.
that's just
Um,
my take, man. That's just my take. But
okay.
I would like it to have been real, but like I think that having the chicken stay there, I think she witnessed the chicken die. Whenever,
Belina?
yeah, I think during the flood when she was in the water and everything, she saw the chicken die and didn't want to face that. So in her subconscious, said she stayed there and she's living happily, as a chicken in Oz. And
Okay.
yeah,
So that's the end of the movie. She's back. She's mentally healthy. She's not dealing with these issues anymore. She's on the farm. It looks like her uncle is actually working on the house now. He healed somehow in like 2 days. Toto's playing catch and chase around with Dorothy, and the movie ends. Um, Now we're gonna talk about favorite characters and least favorite characters, and I want Josh to go first. Favorite characters, least favorite characters.
Jack is my favorite character. Least favorite character would be the Scarecrow and the Gnome King. The Wheelers
Yeah,
really didn't bother me this time around because they don't have any damn fingers and hands. They can't really do nothing. Um, the main Wheeler reminds me of the Trash Can Man from The Stand, the 1990s Stand, The Stand.
a bit. Yeah,
What is his
a little bit.
name, man? He's in all those Stephen King movies, and he was in that.
Flashaholics,
He was in
Sleepy
Lawnmower Man.
Hollow.
Yeah, he was in Lawnmower Man 2. He
I've
played the.
never seen Lawnmower Man 2.
Oh, it's actually really good for being so bad.
Okay, I've never
Um,
seen that.
it's one we should riff. The first
Okay.
Lawnmower Man's actually pretty good. Um, oh, what is his name? Anyways, that's who he reminded me of. But yeah, the Jack is my favorite. Gnome King.
Why? Why is Jack your favorite?
I don't know. I like he's got like a calming voice when he talks,
Hmm.
He's sympathetic. He's also heroic for being so weak. And he's not as annoying as TikTok is,
Oh,
or the bird or the chicken.
what?
Um, they're just a little over the top with their trope,
Oh,
their stuff. But no, Jack is like in the whole mom thing, good night, mom, and tucking her in. It was sweet.
he
Jack
is a
is the best.
Jack is a great character. I would say my favorite character. I really enjoy TikTok. I like that the scene where he is just when he meets her Dorothy and he's like, "Wind me up. I'm gonna come up with a plan." The door opens. That's like an action movie scene. Like
Yeah,
he's got this lunch pail in his hand and he is walking bravely into battle to fight not one wheeler, not two, all of them.
yeah, but I mean, they don't even have hands. And then whenever he does fight a villain with hands, I'm gonna argue TikTok's value here, okay? And it's not.
Ah!
I'm sorry, I got to say
Oh,
this. It can't be helped now, okay? It's already happening. It can't be helped. Just like Dorothy Gale says, every time something happens, like when she's falling to die, I'm sorry, I let it happen. It can't be helped now. It's okay. TikTok, when she really needs him, whenever she's being taken to the tower by Mombi, I'll save you. Oh no, my action has ran down, even though you just wound it up 5 seconds ago. And then Dorothy's like, it's okay, it can't be helped. It's like he's useless.
dude, Do you remember having the alarm clock from the 80s that was wind up?
Oh God,
And
yes.
like, dude, when you like really needed it, like I have to wake up today. That's SOB would it would die in the middle of the night.
Yep.
That happened to
Yep.
me so many times. What a worthless. My grandpa Ralph had that same clock my entire life. He never went digital.
I
It was always the wind up.
I never even knew how to use them right. I did like TikTok as like the whole clockwork thing, but he was, I mean, yeah, he beat up the Wheelers, the guys that don't have fingers, but when it came to like saving Dorothy,
Hmm.
he was supposed to go in there and do the ornament thing. He freezes up then. Whenever she gets taken by Mombi, he freezes up then. It's like when it's really important, I don't think he's even winding down. He's just checking out because he's insecure. But
Do you like it when TikTok becomes Uber TikTok at the end of the movie? He gets an upgrade and he's all
yeah,
shiny.
yeah, he's like half and no, okay. I get why you like TikTok. It is he is a cool clockwork thing, but like it just bugged me that he has that one cool scene against the Wheelers, and then from then on, like even you said earlier, he's in the room with the ornaments, and he's supposed to be able to come up with a great plan, but he doesn't really help any, and he just gets
Do you know who TikTok was?
who
I just had this thought. TikTok was the electric shock machine with the face. He was the clock.
it totally was. Yep, it totally
That's
was.
who TikTok was.
Yep.
I just had that epiphany.
See, it's all in her head, man. It's crazy. It's sad and dark, but
The Wheelers were the bed she was being wheeled in on.
mm-hmm.
Okay, I got this. The pumpkin, Jack Pumpkinhead, was obviously the pumpkin that they were decorating for Halloween in the asylum, clearly. But I would say my least favorite character, don't like the Gnome King, for obvious reasons. They write him as a supervillain. I can't stand him.
Very arch.
Yeah, and I don't care, and also I don't care for the Scarecrow's design. I don't like the
No,
Lion's design. I don't like the Tin Man's design. That still don't like those designs, even
I'm
though
just
they're
giving.
more true.
I was just giving
Yeah,
you a hard time about TikTok, man. But go ahead.
I like TikTok. I like Belina too. Belina's sassy, and love Jack. Jack is a sweet little guy. You know what I'm saying?
I love Jack. He's
Yeah,
my
and the
favorite.
Gump too. The Gump is like Eeyore. The Gump is essentially Eeyore.
My favorite
I
part
like
is
them all.
is when the Gump was like, "Mama, Mama said they was my magic shoes. They
My
take me
ma-
anywhere.
my magic wings,
They
my
was my
magic couch.
they was my magic shoes, wings, living powder. Mama said life is like a can of living powder.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake powder of life. Shake powder of life. All right, Josh, did you enjoy the storyline and the plot?
Yes, I thought it was a great dark dive into the scared subconscious of a small girl that doesn't know what's wrong with her and is afraid of, the treatment that her aunt, she's scared and sad that her aunt has given up, on her, and now she's taking her to this scary doctor to do this horrible, scary thing. And I feel like the whole adventure, the reason it's so dark this time is because what she's facing in life at the time is dark and scary.
Hmm.
Therefore, the movie's going to be dark and scary, which I appreciate from the writer's perspective. The first movie didn't really have that going on. I know they're not connected, but like the first movie, there wasn't a whole lot of a tornado was scary, sure, but like it was just an innocent dream, a fun dream. Whereas in this one, she's sick, she's not sleeping, and she's scared because even her family's given up on her, and they're taking her to this scary place with these scary people, and it's a dark, scary thing. Therefore, ergo, it's a dark and scary adventure. It makes sense why the movie is so much darker if you think about it. And I'm disappointed in Siskel and Ebert for not putting that together. Uh, it makes perfect sense.
Excuse me. My allergies, as per usual, terrible when we're filming. But anyway, I totally agree with you. And I also, do you think that maybe it was even another level, it's dark because she's not sleeping, so she's having delusions,
Yep.
she's hallucinating, right?
Yep.
We kind of talked about that.
I think she
um
wants to be the girl in the mirror. She wants to be Ozma. I think that's who she wishes she could be. Because she even says later, "I wish I could be in both places at once." And then Ozma appears.
That's like
Actually, actually, she says, "I wish I can be in both places at once." Her shoes light up, the ruby red slippers light up, and Ozma appears. So in a way, she sees herself as Ozma because Ozma is staying and she's going back. So she's in both places.
so
So
she's having like, well, she's having split personality disorder here. This is getting bad. Get this girl some sleep.
she's definitely
Um,
got some problems, sadly. But yeah.
did I enjoy the storyline and plot? Yes, I love this movie. I love that you can dissect it from multiple angles. It could just be a straight up fantasy. You could take it for what it is, what you see on the page,
Hmm.
or it could be layers and layers and layers like an onion, like Josh described. I love that. You can wherever your imagination wants to take you is where you can go with this film. That's why it's a great film. Um, it has some really nice little comedy parts, a lot of action. There are some parts that are definitely like I don't know how she's going to get out of this, and there are some parts where like she has luck and smarts on her side, and she's very brave.
Yeah.
Um, I really enjoyed this movie. It was a great ride. It's fun. It's not overly long. It's not a super long movie.
No, it goes
Uh,
by pretty quick. The story kind of goes a little too fast. Like the
yeah.
beats aren't the way a movie normally goes, but
I mean, it hums right along, which I actually kind of enjoy. Favorite parts, Josh? Least favorite parts?
favorite parts. The flying scene was a lot of fun, and I loved how Jack was like looking out for her, and it was like that older figure that she needed to like tuck her in and tell her everything's okay. But at the
The
same time,
opposite,
depending on her.
the opposite of her aunt,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. Um, least favorite part was the freaking Gnome King scenes. Because I literally, I'm not okay. I'm not joking. I'm sure some people are laughing at me. The Gumby phobia thing is a real thing. I'm not joking, not exaggerating. For some reason, Gumby animation and the Gnome King animation really freaked me out and mess with me. So
Okay.
that's my least favorite part by far.
Favorite part, Wheelers, Battle with the Wheelers. I love their design. I like the way they look. They're terrifying. Love the introduction of meeting TikTok, him whipping some booty. Uh, I like her being in the attic and meeting Jack.
Yeah,
That's fun. I like when she's in Mombi's like palace and we see all these heads looking at her. That's a great visual. So many scenes that will stay with me forever. That I really enjoy. Least favorite parts. Um, basically anything in Kansas. It's gotta. I know you need to have it
yeah,
for the story, but just kind of basic, boring, whatever filler scenes to establish plot. And I would say the Gnome King is my least favorite character. Therefore, when he's on screen, I'm kind of like meh,
yeah.
like whatever. So yeah, but that's just nitpicking. I enjoyed him on screen too. He's a great villain. Very evil. And he actually, like any evil doer, like Josh said, he has a legitimate gripe. They
Yeah,
did take his emeralds.
yeah, they did. So
Yeah. So like any good supervillain, he actually has a legitimate kind of beef to start with. He may have got more evil as the years went on with power, but he did have a legitimate gripe. Does the movie hold up today, Josh?
yes and no. Um, yes, from like a storytelling perspective and like being able to dissect it, people are still watching it, still coming up with their own theories and everything. But a lot of the stop motion animation and stuff is really dated. It is effective because it scares the crap out of me, but most people would see that. Like you show that to like a Gen Z or something, they're gonna be like, "Wow, that's really bad." That's like Land of the Lost 1960s bad. Um, but the story and stuff does, and the puppetry is really good. I gotta admit, the puppetry is great. The TikTok, Jack, the Gump, everything, all that's great. The only complaint I really have that I don't think stands up is like the Gnome King stuff, but it might be because it's personal. But yeah, I think it stands up about 80%, 20% with the no. So
I think that it does hold up today. I totally agree with the only gripe would be because the sand, the deadly desert, Yeah, that the Deadly Desert scene is so good that it makes up for the stop go animation stuff with the Gnome King.
Yeah.
I think it's still good because I prefer bad physical practical effects over CGI any day.
Yeah.
I I just saw Final Destination's Bloodlines over the weekend,
Yeah.
and I really, really, really enjoyed the movie. The only criticism I would have of the film would be I don't like that they use CGI blood. I that drives me nuts. I don't like that. Please, Jeffrey Reddick, you have some swing and pull with that franchise. Have the future filmmakers go back to practical blood. But yes, I believe it still holds up today. And now it's that time, Josh. We're going to rate the film, and I have an option for you for our
Okay.
rating system. Do you want to go how many apple lunch pails out of four, or do you want to go how many Queen Mombi heads out of four?
Heads. Heads.
Okay. How many Queen Mombi heads? Four being the best, one being the worst.
I'm gonna go three.
Okay.
Three because it is a fun. I mean, I almost gave it a 2.5. I love the story. I love how it's dissectable. Like I love Jack and stuff. I feel like, and I'm sorry, I just feel like TikTok is useless except for that one scene. I'm sorry. Um, Other than that, the stop motion kind of there, and it freaks me out. I think that's why I would have went 2.5. But as far as everything besides the stop motion and the Gnome King, it's great. It's a fun adventure, and if you really dissect it, you understand why it's so dark and scary compared to like what came before. But maybe that wasn't a movie that maybe it didn't need to be made. I'm glad it was because it's a fun thing to return to. Um, yeah, I'm gonna give it a three. It's definitely memorable. Got a place in history. It's a cult movie now. I wish I could watch the whole thing without like cringing at the Gnome King stuff. And like when when they're falling, that's kind of bad, special effects. Um
I
I give it a three, man. I think that's a pretty good score though. But
that is a good score, and you know what? I love this movie. I might be
yes.
giving this grade through rose-colored glasses, but I'm going to give it a big old four. It is a perfect film. I love this movie.
Okay.
I adore this film. Um, it's like finding your perfect mate. You overlook all the negatives, and because they're your boo. And Return to Oz is my boo.
Well, I didn't mean to
And
hurt the score. Sorry.
no, three and a half Mobby heads out of four. Slashaholics at home, you guys rate this movie in the comments below and let us know why you guys love this movie or don't like this movie. And let us know your score. That's always a lot of fun. Yeah, big old four, which gives us a aggregate score at the Slash Tracks Network of three and a half. And that's the end of the review, Josh, and that's the end of the show. And you take it away, buddy.
This whole thing was a dream I was having because I saw Wizard of Oz setting on a shelf, and I saw Return to Arkham, a PS4 game that has the first two Arkham games in it, and all that stuff is why this is happening. You're all in a dream I'm having. Um, did you do you see it that way now, or do you still see it as she was really there?
Oh, it's like I think it's totally open to interpretation.
Yeah, it could
And
go
I
both
think
ways.
it could absolutely go both ways. Either she was terrified, not sleeping, gets swept away in the river, she got hypothermia, all the things that she saw turned into different characters into her hallucination or delusion, or she actually legitimately like had been to Oz and she went back to Oz.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it's definitely it could go both ways. But
yeah. And I like that. I like that. I think that's great.
yeah. Do you
That's
think
half the
that
fun.
breaking it down kind of brought you to where it could go both ways more?
Hmm.
Like
Well,
maybe before.
TikTok being the clock,
Yeah.
Slashaholics, that literally was me. That was like a real moment there. I was like seriously had that thought in the moment on screen being recorded.
Yeah, because the camera even lingers on that face.
That's TikTok. That is TikTok.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
lingers there to make you remember that clock
That
thing.
is that is TikTok. And the
Uh,
pumpkin is Pumpkinhead, and yes, and the wheelers are the guys, the orderlies wheeling her into the place to get electroshock therapy. It's 100% what that is.
I bet if we go back and
Um,
watch it, the Wheelers are the same actors.
it's yes, and yeah, I agree. It could go either way, and I love it.
Yeah.
And Josh, do you want to hit him with some channel biz, some news?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Be sure. Well, first off, thank you all so much for watching and hanging with us. We really appreciate it. If you want to help the channel out, the best thing you can do is click the subscribe button, click the bell to get notifications, click the like button, drop a comment, even if the comment is like, shut up, you nerds. Anything like that helps the channel, and spread the word. Spread the word to other people. But if you want to go a little further, you can join our Patreon. You can get a cameo video. You can also do a one-time donation as a super thanks, right? Like on the video right now in the comments, you can pick super thanks. If you want to drop us a buck or two on a comment, it'll highlight it. We're gonna have channel membership soon. You can do a one-time donation through PayPal or Cash App. All the information's in the description. Pin comment below. Yeah, that's it for today. Be excellent to each other out there, and no matter how crazy it gets, stay sane inside insanity, slashaholics and slashketeers. Say goodnight, Alex.
Good night, Alex. Mahalo, dogs. Doom, 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 doom.